Imagine walking on a floor where one wrong step could simply erase your existence in seconds. The world of factories hides secrets so extreme that even the heat of lava seems like child's play. When danger is invisible to the eye, any detail can be the last thing you see, and that's where the most shocking stories unfold. Are you ready to see the dark side behind what no one dares to show? Have you ever imagined working in a place where the ground beneath your feet can reach temperatures hotter than a volcano's lava? The large industrial foundries of the United States hold a deadly secret: molten iron, heated to almost 1,500 degrees, capable of wiping out a life in a matter of seconds. In these environments, there's no room for mistakes. Any misstep can become a tragedy before anyone even realizes. For thousands of workers, this risk is the silent routine that haunts every move. The real danger lives where you least expect it. Behind every car part, building beam, or metal structure we see every day, there's a hidden universe of heat, pressure, and absolute discipline. Employees spend hours in heavy gear and, even then, are always one step away from disaster. Internal reports reveal rigid protocols, but also stories of decisions made under pressure. People who faced flames, leaks, and explosions because of a single minor mistake. Few people realize it, but accidents in these environments rarely make the headlines. Many are swept under the rug, invisible to society's eyes. Yet even routine hides its dormant monsters. Anyone who thinks it's just another dangerous job is mistaken. On the production lines of these foundries, each second is a silent battle between control and the unpredictable. And as an old factory saying goes, in these corridors, too much confidence is the shortcut to disaster. But little did the workers that morning know. The worst was yet to come, and a simple newcomer was about to face a true iron inferno. Would you believe it if you heard that less than 1 week on the job? A worker can face a fate that not even the movies dare to show. On his 5th day at one of the hottest and most dangerous foundries in the country, an ordinary man faces the challenge of extracting a sample of glowing, molten iron. The setting is hostile. Absurd heat, gargantuan equipment, and the order to get dangerously close to the bubbling orange abyss at his feet. One slight misstep, there is truly a death sentence, and that day, luck decided to turn its back. The man succeeds in his task. He spins the massive metal wheel, watches the intense flow of molten iron, and bravely gets close to collect the sample. Everything seems under control for a few seconds, but a small distraction changes everything. He slips on the metal platform and half his body falls into the vat packed with bubbling iron. He tries to escape, grabs whatever he can, but it's impossible to fight the fury of that flaming abyss. In the blink of an eye, part of him is already gone. While colleagues watch the unthinkable, the factory floor transforms into a scene of disbelief and silent horror. Operations quickly stop, sirens wail, emergency teams rush in, but there's nothing to be done. The accident sparks unsettling questions. How was someone so inexperienced placed so close to danger? That single tragic moment revealed just how fatal even the smallest detail can be. What no one expected was that this wouldn't be the last time the impossible would show up in that place. What can happen when a simple factory routine crosses paths with a millimetric mistake? Amid the noisy heat of a Texas sawmill, 4 workers face a task that seemed trivial: freeing a jammed machine. For that, they resort to a tightly wound steel cable, now stretched like a bow, which transforms into a real device of suspense and danger. No one could have imagined that in that instant everyone's fate would change forever, and without warning. With each attempt to pull, adjust, and maneuver the cable, the tension among the workers mounts. The steel gets tighter and tighter, almost defying the senses. Suddenly, the pent-up force unleashes like a gunshot, and the cable lashes across the production line with brutal precision. In the blink of an eye, 4 men are fatally struck, while one sole survivor, in a twist of luck and tragedy, is thrown to the ground with a devastated leg. The resulting scene is so shocking that even the most seasoned workers are rendered silent. The impact of the accident touches everyone at the scene and leaves permanent marks in the memory of those who witnessed it. Scattered helmets, sawdust on the ground, and still bodies transformed that ordinary scenario into a tableau of horror almost impossible to describe. But most impressive is that even after losing friends in seconds, the factory routine doesn't stop, and contrary to what you'd expect, other equally unbelievable stories were just waiting to unfold. Did you know that sometimes it's curiosity, not obvious danger, that seals a worker's fate? In a colossal Russian factory, silent security cameras watched as an operator faced a problem with a gigantic machine built to carve metal like clay. Everything seemed like a standard routine, but every suspicious glance from the worker hid an ominous omen. Everything was about to change because of a tiny detail out of place. During the next few minutes, the man alternates between caution and confidence. He analyzes, investigates, and even feels relieved when he finds a simple leak on the ceiling. But while he's distracted thinking about a fix, he doesn't notice his sleeve has gotten caught. In a split second, the unexpected takes over. He is pulled into the rotating machine with a force that defies imagination. Shoes are flung, fragments fly, and in seconds, the entire scene becomes a mix of shock, panic, and deafening silence, all captured on camera. Another worker enters a few minutes later, only to find a scenario impossible to describe without shuddering. The site is destroyed, marked by stains and traces of what just occurred. Soon, the episode leaks to the world, going viral as a brutal warning about the dangers of small distractions in heavy industry. But while the internet digested the tragedy, another factory was, unknowingly, preparing to witness one more absurd event. A routine where the improbable always seems to be waiting around the corner. Can you imagine how something as trivial as a jammed piece of plastic could set off one of the most extreme situations in a factory? In Canada, the routine at a recycling facility seemed to go on without surprises, until a 56-year-old worker noticed the small obstacle stuck in the jaws of a massive roller. Driven by the pressure to keep the production line moving, he climbs a ladder, and as he tries to pull the plastic out, he has no idea he's about to face a test of endurance that very few would survive. The unexpected happens. As he tries to remove the jam, his finger is grabbed by the spinning roller. Seconds later, his hand, his arm, and his entire body are pulled into the relentless machine. Even with co-workers acting fast, the power of the gears and the just-so system render their efforts almost useless against the brutality. Against all odds, he's pulled out still alive, but with injuries so severe there's no chance of recovery. The worker's fate shakes everyone who witnessed the scene. In environments like this, lives and routines are at risk every minute. As the dust settles, one brutal message stands out. Behind the apparent normalcy of factories, there's always a gear waiting for a human distraction. Even more impressive is realizing that, despite all the warnings, the dangers are still lurking, just waiting for the next misstep. Can it ever really be possible to avoid new tragedies in places where even the smallest detail can be fatal? How many times have you stopped to think that behind each everyday object, there might be the anonymous story of someone who faced unimaginable danger? In a universe filled with giant machines and risky processes, exhausted workers labor, often in unhealthy conditions, so that technology, comfort, and convenience reach you without a hint of the drama behind production. It's an uncomfortable truth, but just as real as it is invisible. With every shift, life hangs by a thread. Behind the scenes of forgotten factories and warehouses, the fear of tragedy haunts every silence in their corridors and the clank of every piece of metal. It's hours of tension, redoubled attention, and choices that can cost everything at the drop of a hat. Brutal accidents, like the ones you've heard here, show that the distance between normalcy and the unexpected is minimal, and that routine often hides situations worthy of horror films. That's why you should value every little privilege. Life is excess and absence in fractions of a second. Be grateful for what you have, don't waste your present, and never underestimate those behind the gears. In the end, remember, what is just another product for you could be the thin line that separates survival from the end for someone on the other side. And if you're still in doubt, ask yourself, how much is the safety behind everything you use really worth?